All right. I think we're live. See, there's a couple people connecting. We'll give that a minute or two. All right, people are piling in now. Well, I think looks like we've got a full crew here today. I appreciate everyone signing in and participating in this quarterly Greenway Advisory Committee meeting. It's now 11:03, a little bit late, but hey, technology. We're still trying to figure it all out. We'll be taking minutes today. Miss Odom, our admin coordinator's online. She'll be taking minutes, so we don't need to beg, borrow, steal from anybody to do that today. What I'd asked to do is we've got 22 folks. Let's go ahead and just do quick introductions. If that doesn't work, well, we'll go ahead and you can go into the chat and just put your name and organization down so we can try to take attendance that way. So I'll start off. Most know me. I'm Michael Niermeyer, Transportation Director for Richland County. How about
I'm Glenn Epps, Richland County Conservation Division.
Jeff Pignosky, Richland County Transportation.
Carol Kosowski, Richland County Conservation Commission.
Brent Chitwood,
Richland County Transportation.
Brent Chitwood, landowner next to Olympia Park.
John Grega, Richland County Conservation Commission.
Andrea Bowling, City of Columbia.
Jennifer Bragg, J. Bragg Consulting.
Kimberly Tony, Richland County Transportation.
Lucinda Statler, City of Columbia Planning.
Lee DeForth, City of Columbia Planning.
Brian, it's Richland County Government Community Services.
Harmony Adler, Gills Creek Watershed Association.
Kelly Odom, Richland County Transportation.
any other communities represented here?
Yeah, hi, this is Bob Gild with the Granby neighborhood and the Mill District Alliance, interested in the Rocky Branch Greenway.
Sure. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, well, if no one else, we'll go on from there. If anyone else wants to announce, I'll give you a minute. I don't hear anything. Okay, well, that's good for introductions. Go ahead, sorry. Okay, Anyway,
Michael, it looks like Mike Dawson's on too. I didn't hear him introduce himself, but whoever's got the 206-1055 phone number, you might want to mute yourself because there's a weird background noise that is generating from your phone. I don't know if anyone else is getting that, but it's like a clicking.
I do hear clicking. All right, well, I will see if I can somebody mute that's controlling the meeting?
Rashid, I think you need to mute your phone.
That's Jeff.
No, that wasn't me. I was already muted.
That's Jeff. He just muted. Okay, we're good now. It's always one of my folks. Jeez. Anyway, well, again, appreciate everybody participating today. We'll go through our typical project updates, and we'll field any questions. We won't have Mohammed El Tafan today. He's actually on the field on a project, but he doesn't have much of an update. And then I'll be able to update the Columbia Mall Greenway for Miss Allison Steele. I just wanted to start off just a few points. I think most of you know me by now. We've been at the program for over 2 years since assuming it. And I just want to tell you that every project that the penny pays for is important, is equally important. Whether it's a bikeway, greenway, or widening or intersection. So I want everybody to know that. One of the challenges we had since assuming is really going back into history and knowing what has been spent on each project. And that's more than an accounting function. It's also an understanding of how costs were allocated previously and how they're allocated now. And that's something we've adamantly been working on since assuming the program, and we'll be getting better as we go back and actually take those old costs, evaluate them, and allocate them to the current projects. So being that as it may, we need to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible and adhering to the money that this penny ordinance and the ensuing projects with the amounts indicated for each project are adhered to. If more is needed, do we need to ask for it? Do we justify it? Do we have savings on other projects? Absolutely. So one of the things we're, again, really working for, and we'll bring this up on the Gills Creek update, is how much was spent previously and how much was, and where does that leave us now for future? And it actually really applies to every greenway that we'll talk about today. So I just wanted to make sure that we're managing expectations of stakeholders like many of you, the general public, the governing bodies, and our administration. We don't want to ever overpromise and underdeliver. So we will continue to work closely with our partners, such as the City of Columbia, stakeholder groups, such as those of you involved in here, and making sure we're communicating with the public best we can, and making sure we're addressing those questions in a timely manner should they come up. Nothing's happening in a bubble. None of these projects are surprise. Last year in March, before we got locked down, we had one of the last meetings where we were able to show to those that attended and others how we realigned the greenways to ensure we had money available to do something. And you probably think I'm a broken record by saying that, but I feel like that's important. We need to create something, and then down the line, it can be built off of if that's the desire. So that's where we are today. Let's go jump into the project updates, and we'll start with Gills Creek Greenway. We got Mr. Jeff McNesby as the project manager. You can go ahead, Jeff. No. Still can't hear you, Jeff. Can someone unmute Jeff? I think he's the 1055 number. Try *6.
Can you hear me?
Hear you now, Jeff.
Okay. Okay. Good morning. Earlier this year, the decision was made on Gills Creek to combine phases 2, 3, and 4 into one project and move it forward for construction. Phase 2 originally ran from Bee Cliff Drive to McKell Lane. Phase 3 went from Fort Jackson Boulevard to Bee Cliff. And phase 4 was going from McKell to Timberlane Drive. So the idea behind this was to take phases 2 and 3, which are at 70% design plans, combine that with phase 4 and look at it as a single project. About 2 weeks ago, we hit the pause button with our consultant. We're doing an evaluation of our existing budget. We're analyzing how much money has been spent to date. With the goal is to determine how much money do we have available for construction. Once we can confirm that final number, we're looking at different design alternatives with the goal of extending the project as far down Gills Creek as possible. So as it stands right now, we're looking at different alternatives, and we're going to come up with a plan that we think can best meet the needs of our community. And we'll present that to the City of Columbia, and then we'll come back to this committee with our goal and hopefully get that project restarted and moving forward. Thank you.
Let me dovetail off what Jeff said. If you look at the realignment of the 3 segments in the original referendum for Gills Creek, together it was $5.375 million. Dating back to 2014, I believe, we had some initial Gills Creek design that were awarded. So all that over time chips away into what's available for eventual construction. So again, like Jeff said, we want to maximize what we can construct and look at what are the best trade-offs if we need to make trade-offs to maximize the length of that project. Everyone who knows who's been involved in this since inception, this has had its challenges, it's had its controversies, but the point is we're moving forward. We've got a mandate to build something, and we're going to do that. And all the input we've received and support from the city, from other stakeholder organizations is greatly appreciated and taken into consideration too. So at the end of the day, we're going to build something. Hopefully we'll have more money than less money. And once that's fully determined and we have that follow up with our engineering team and other consultants, that'll be presented. And we'll also be able to provide clear information to the public.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So for the different design possibilities, is part of that being considered the width of the trail, the Greenway, to decrease that, particularly through the wetland areas, in order to extend it? Are you all looking at that as a possibility?
We are.
Okay.
One of the goals is not only just to build as much as we can lengthwise, but we've got a responsibility to look at the impacts to the environment and minimizing those impacts too.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. Our association would be in support of that. Thank you.
No further questions on Gills Creek. We could switch over to Mr. Rashid Muwakil on Smith Rocky Branch Greenway.
Michael, I had my hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, this is John Grego. I did want to check again. I mean, so what do you consider this phase to be? You plan to soon share some preliminary designs with the City of Columbia. So this is still pre-design work. And I mean, what's the deadline for a finalized design? or draft design that would be distributed to the public?
The design schedule for Gills Creek phases 2, 3, and 4 was to last for 9 months, and an additional 9 months to get through the permitting process. So we're looking, before we move to construction, about a year and a half out.
And John, what Jeff had briefed earlier is we do have approximately 70% designs for phases 2 and 3.
Right.
Those have been presented, and that information is out there for the public. It's just this last phase when we combined it, looking at a segment somewhere from Mickle Lane south to a point to be determined is really what we're looking at now. And a lot of that's going to be driven by coming up with what's remaining for construction and what's the construction estimate show.
Okay, thanks.
If there's no further questions, we can jump over to Smith Rocky. Rashid?
Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Rashid Milwaukee. Okay, for the Smith Rocky branch on Greenway, the OET is still pretty much in the preliminary phase of the design work, but the City of Columbia has approved the alignment of the right-of-way, and the OET has met with the city arborist and walked the Rocky Branch Greenway to look for and discuss trees that will potentially impact the Greenway alignment, but they found no conflicts with the preliminary alignment. The city is also has a sewer project going on in that area, so we are working with them to ensure that there are going to be no conflicts with their sewer project, but we don't anticipate any issues with that. So the OET is continuing to work on the right-of-way plans. They plan to have the 7% right-of-way plans completed by the end of the month, and also 30% structural plans. There is potential for them to do additional survey if needed. But other than that, they're making very good progress in moving this project along.
Gee, this is Lee. Could you remind us of the extent of that? I know the original was from Constance to the river, and I just wanted to clarify, what the extent of the proposed distance was.
The proposed distance is about 1.7 miles.
And it's no longer from Constance to the river though, right? I guess where would the start and the stop be?
It's going to be pretty much from Granby Park to Gunners Ferry.
Gunners Ferry?
Gunners Ferry?
I mean Jervey. I'm sorry, not Gunners Ferry.
Sorry.
Like, wow.
It's like sweet.
Jervey.
Oh. He was just testing to see if everybody's paying attention.
Cool, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is Bob Gould. I still couldn't understand what's the current stop and start for Rocky Branch, please? Could you just say that one more time?
From Granby Park to Gervais Street.
To Gervais?
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, I just don't understand. Where's Assembly Street and Olympia Park and the ball field project if fit into that proposed alignment?
I think it runs through all of those. I would have to see if I got the alignment. I may have to get back with you on that.
Yeah. Is this Bob Gale?
This is Bob Gould, yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Well, I do believe the alignment runs through those locations, but I'll get back with you. I'll confirm that and get back with you.
Yeah, that would be helpful. If it's appropriate, I just wanted to say that, you know, the private sector actors that we've been working with as a neighborhood association and mill district that I trust that the planners are working with are the developers of the Capital City ballpark project, which has a stream restoration in Olympia Park and downstream, at least designed as part of their project. And then PMC, the developers of the Olympia and Granby Mill, which have constructed a portion of the Greenway behind their new cottages project that needs to be linked up to whatever the county and city are going to be building upstream. So I just wanted to confirm that the project designers are working with those two private sector entities in their design work.
Okay. Can you give me those two?
Sure.
sections again?
Yeah, I'll be happy to talk to you offline, but Andy Weddle and the Ballfield LLC project, and then on Assembly Street, and then PMC, the owner developers of the Granby and Olympia Mills and related properties.
Okay. If you don't mind, can I have your contact information and we'll talk offline?
Sure. Just let me know how to do that mechanically. I'm a little unclear, but I'll be happy to work with you any way I can on this. And thank you for the information.
I think we got your phone number here. 803-849-4230.
No, it's 803-917-5738, 917-5738.
Got it. Okay.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, and Bob, just let you know, we were aware of all the development in the area. You know, it comes down to a lot of timing, when are things going to happen, and that's not unique for this project. You know, we've got Broad River Road widening with new developments in the Irmo area. We've got housing projects near Atlas Road. So going into this, we were aware that a lot of things were happening, and again, the OET, as they do this alignment and start looking at that right away, are ensuring that they are reaching out to these different actors. Sometimes folks like yourself have better information because you have more contact, and I think one of the purposes of this meeting is to ensure that everyone's aware of what's going on. And again, I appreciate you speaking up on this.
Sure, happy to help in it and happy to work with you guys any way we can. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Bob, and I'll reach out to you.
Anything else from anyone on Smith Rocky Section C?
Michael,
Yes, sir.
Brent Chitwood here. We've been working on a design for linking one side of Olympia Park to the other through, instead of a bridge, which we had been spoken about before, an extension of the culvert underneath the railroad berm. And this is a kind of a complete change in design from what had been discussed with the city before. But it would involve going, I don't know how to describe it. You have to kind of look at it. But so my question is since this has a lot to do with Richland County Recreation Department Division Commission, do you have a contact for them? And do you want to be involved with this project, because it is the same exact area that the Greenway has been proposed to go through?
Absolutely. Like I said to Bob, sharing information is critical because there's so many things going on that not everyone knows everything. If we did, none of us would be working here. Yeah, absolutely. We can send me a note or give me a call or give me your information. We'd be glad to listen in, attend meetings as possible, and if we need to do any updates, we can also do that. Is that project though, is it Richland County Rec Commission or is it the city?
It's neither one. It is all Richland County.
Okay.
The property that we're talking about is private property with easements by the city. The idea that we're talking about is expanding the easements for the park onto that property. Essentially, you know, I know if you've been to Olympia Park, half of it is very inaccessible from the end of Carolina Street over to Rocky Branch is pretty well blocked off. And so what we're proposing is opening that by putting in a 15-foot wide trail across the private property and providing an easement for the county for the park. But at the same time, that bridge that I won't call it a bridge, but that design would also allow us to go across the railroad berm at that same elevation, which comes out on Bluff Road at that same elevation without the need for a culvert for people to walk through. So it's substantially reducing the cost for that section of the Greenway. And then it gets more involved with as to what side of the creek you want to come out on and all those other details. But in general, it's kind of like two things in once: improving the design, the preliminary designs that are on the table now, and connecting the Olympia Park to be accessed by the public.
Yeah, definitely sounds like something we need to know about, and nothing worse than building something than having to change it after the fact. So I think we're in a good spot to have that conversation and see if there's economies there between your proposed project and ours, and see if this can get worked out.
Okay, that'd be great. I'll give you a call.
Excellent, thanks. Okay, anything else from Smith Rocky? Appreciate all the input and conversation. Okay, seeing none. Next update is Crane Creek Greenway. I don't know if Dr. Eltafon's made it back and is on the call or not, but there hasn't been any significant updates since our last meeting. There's still fee negotiations that are ongoing with the OET, and that's about all I have to offer on that one. Let me just double check some notes. Yeah, that's where we are right now.
Michael, once those fee negotiations are completed, is that when you anticipate having a draft alignment and submitting for administrative adjustments as needed?
Yeah, once the fee negotiations are completed, we'll be able to, well, the fee's got to be negotiated before they can actually do the drawings of the proposed alignment and any adjustments that are required. So
okay, perfect.
I don't have a timeline for that, Lee, sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. We had some emails back and forth about the administrative adjustments, and
there'll definitely be some of those requested to make sure we can do more, like we talked about with Gills Creek too.
Okay, great.
Okay. Again, I apologize for not having more on that, but that's where that project currently stands. So anyway, moving on, we've got Three Rivers Greenway, Sluta Riverwalk. We've got Miss Kimberly Tony, star of the hour.
Good morning, everyone. The update for Three Rivers Greenway, the phase 1A, which is the one that's being utilized right now with the gate still closed, that the as-built and surveys have been submitted to the city. That was done since the last time that we met. We still have property agreements to finalize and deeds to finalize, but all of the final closeout information has been submitted to the city for review. waiting for approval on that. And like I said, there are some property agreements that just need to be finalized before the city can accept the project from the county. As far as phase B, what we're calling 1B for the Boyd Island connection, the water levels for the Saluda River were very high, which was impacting the construction of that segment. So under the advisement and the consultation from the contractor received from a consultant was to wait until the waters recede some so that they're able to begin construction. With that, we also have issues with CSX as we're working very close to their right of way. So we're trying to satisfy that as well. So right now, we hope to have phase 1B, the Boyd Island connection, complete by the fall of this year. So that's for phase 1B. Anyone have any questions or anything? I think I've covered everything.
Really, no questions. Wow. Great job, Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
There you go, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, we're all very, very, very anxious to get 1A formally turned over, opened up so it can be used the way it's intended to be used as opposed to the way it's being used now. So I know that the city as well as the River Alliance want the same thing. So. Okay, no other questions on that. We'll go down to Columbia Mall Greenway. I know Allison just walked in, but her update is pretty simple. As you know, there's a very limited amount of money for that, and the original design just really the original scope was just untenable with the areas it went through. What we've been working with is Mr. Khan, has some property over off of O'Neill, and we're trying to work with him to see if we can get a conservation easement so we'd be able to design and construct some type of greenway walkway in that area, and additionally tie it into a proposed planning and development project with that involves some property off of Decker that they've acquired over the past couple of years. So I don't think there's anything more than that. It's been proposed, the discussion's been had, and we're just waiting on some kind of response back of whether Mr. Khan is going to be agreeable to grant us that conservation easement. If you have any questions on that, I definitely cannot answer anything more. Okay, so that's all we have as far as project updates. Are there any other items or business that this group needs to discuss, or other questions that you would like to ask? If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Yeah, this is Bob Guile. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hey, so I just wanted to also flag on Rocky Branch Greenway that the it's been a year or more, but you know the neighborhoods have worked with the city on doing some preliminary design and engineering for penetrating the railroad berm at the upper end of Olympia Park, the location that Brent Chitwood was speaking to earlier, to get a path that would be at grade there, and then also to get under Olympia Avenue, Wayne Street at the lower end of Olympia Park to connect with the Greenway behind the Olympia and Granby Mills. And I just wanted to flag the fact that the neighborhoods had seen a preliminary design for culverts that allowed a pedestrian path through the berm and under the avenue. And I just wanted to make sure that the design team or the county project team was aware of those, and to make sure that we communicate about those. It just seems really important to the community that a workable greenway that actually is going to get used doesn't traverse excessively divert around these two features or cross through busy traffic. And we really want to make sure that whatever Greenway design is finalized incorporates path networks at grade through both of those features. And so I just would ask that those involved please communicate with Mill District Alliance and Granby and Olympia neighborhoods on those design features. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Bob. This is Lee. Just to follow up, I think that's a really good point. And as you're saying that, it reminded me that I hope y'all have been kind of plugged in as well to the rail consolidation study that SCDOT is doing. But that NEPA analysis has the preliminary alternatives, and I know their timeline has been a bit stretched due to COVID, but as they are narrowing down those preliminary alternatives, which we haven't received word that they have yet, but I think that's something that your design team would want to be aware of, because some of those did result in road closures and rerouting that may adversely or positively affect, depending on, if they are acquiring additional right-of-way that could be utilized for Greenway space. So that's just, if you haven't been in touch with them, that's contact information I can follow up with if that's helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. It's Bob. I just was going to say this, Bob. The neighborhoods have submitted comments on the railroad study, and just to be succinct, we've really resist the notion of eliminating the grid in the city by unnecessary grade crossing closures, particularly where they're not necessitated by any of the railroad realignments. The railroad seems to be using this as an opportunity to leverage additional grade crossing closures, and those really exacerbate traffic congestion problems by eliminating alternative routings that are now available with the existing grid. So yes, thank you, Lee. We are in touch with that.
No, and I knew y'all had been, and we have certainly submitted comments similar to that as well, but I guess for the Penny team to make sure that the design team was aware of the NEPA analysis and rail consolidation. The project is not funded and they have not produced the final alternative, but just making sure that you're aware of those.
I definitely appreciate the input. Going back to Bob, was that one area you're talking about, was that up by the obelisk, or is that a different area? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like an old railroad structure that kind of looks like an obelisk now.
Well, yeah.
Bobby's talking about the raw monument there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That former part of the trestle support structure that's got the public art on it. That's near the railroad berm, and it certainly was when there was a trestle that extended along Lincoln Street, that cement structure that has the raw painting on it was the first support after the railroad berm that we've been speaking about, that it's the upper end of Olympia Park. So it's that railroad berm, which is fill, that needs a penetration in order to have a grade level crossing, or some other treatment, as Brent Chitwood was talking about, to get a path through the berm as opposed to up and over it, or around it, for example.
Yeah.
And Bob, what we're talking about is extending from the raw monument down the street there for a little bit, and then going straight to the creek, and then over the creek over to the park, of which then you could connect, and that would be coordinated to be at grade level on Bluff Road.
Yeah, gentlemen, I know Rashid will follow up on all this. I'm fairly certain our Holt, who was our design consultant, has been involved originally with scoping this project, and has a lot of awareness of what has been going on historically in the different moving parts. So he talked about the Capitol Stadium, and even going down to Olympia Granby, that development. But again, it's the particulars you've been talking about. I can't speak to that, but we'll definitely make sure that loop's closed. You're muted, Carol.
Got
There
it.
you
Okay, thank you. Sorry. My question pertains to the Gills Creek Greenway. As you know, there's been some forward motion in the Community Development and Planning Division on getting responses from the folks along Timber Lane, where those properties there being in the floodway were bought out by the county and some in the city. And so now with the new intent to go to Timber Lane, I'm wondering what kind of discussion, what kind of connection there is between the efforts of the Community Planning and Development Division and the design, and maybe Jeff McNesby can answer this, the design of the trail down to Timber Lane. There's also a tree planting project that is in the works. And I'm just wondering, are any of these connected or what's happening with it? I know there's work going on with it. I just want to be sure that, you know, those people involved are in fact communicating with each other. And I haven't heard any updates. That's why.
So our plan is, as we move forward with this project, is to ensure that we're communicating with all the projects going on in the area. We want to avoid any type of conflict with what we're trying to accomplish versus what the city or another county or even a citizen or organization is working on. But again, our goal is to ensure that everybody's involved with our project and that we're not going to create any issues with the work they have underway.
Well, are you familiar with this work? This is part of Richland County government, you know, I'm talking about.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So,
ma'am.
and I know they're actively working on what to do with that land at Timber Lane that is now available because those houses have been bought out. You understand? So now, you know, how does that connect to the trail? Do you know how that connects to the trail design?
What the county is working on, I mean, we had initial discussions with them.
You're doing,
We've had initial
design, right? Aren't you doing design on that? Or is Holt
Well, at
doing?
this point, as we said earlier, we're actually on pause as we're confirming the available money to see how much of the trail we can complete.
Okay.
And we've had initial discussions with the City of Columbia, Richland County's Planning Department, and with local organizations. These were initial discussions, and we understand that there is a tree planting and some other work being done out in this area. But as we move forward, again, additional meetings will be held to communicate each other's projects.
Carol, to answer a little more directly, yeah, we've had those discussions. We know their data call to determine what that Timberland project was, or the Timberland, you know, there's Timberland properties, you know, what their input was. We shared our previous input from the community meetings with them, so they're aware of what was said and written back in 2016, 2017, and you know, fortunately, they both aligned very well.
Good.
Both
Okay.
inputs. So, you know, we're
That's
definitely
good.
working in concert with them. And then the discussion about the tree planting was like, yeah, we're not going to obviously want to plant trees that'll get torn up because we're going to put an elevated boardwalk through it. So we're on lockstep with community development on their projects. And we've also had this, you know, we've also well aware of the city's grant for some of the restoration, which I don't think it has any impact, but you know, the tree planting, the Timberland properties, and then the grant of 319 grant. We're
Yes.
dialed into all that.
Right. Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Michael, this is Lucinda. I was just wondering, could we get after this, can you guys forward the 70% Rocky Branch plans? I saw an email chain where they were, I think, had gone to engineering to look at the alignment, but can we just get those also, please?
Hey, Rashid, have we reviewed those yet? Rashid, you on? let me get back to that, Lucinda. I want to make sure we're reviewed before we send them off to you, but
Okay,
soft answer is probably.
okay, thanks.
Okay. Anything else from those attending?
Oh, Michael, can you hear me?
I got you now, Rashid. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, those 70% won't be available until around the end of the month, around April 29th.
Is it around the 29th?
Yes.
Okay. Let's take an action to make sure once you get them to send them to Lucinda Stadler, the city.
And,
Okay.
and could the neighborhood get a copy as well, this Bob Giles?
Yeah, we can provide something to the after. We'll talk to the city first, and then we'll go ahead and get something out to the neighborhood association, if that's all right.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I just wanted to thank everyone for participation. I also wanted to recognize Carol Kosowski. Saw a little article in the paper with a picture of her getting almost like a lifetime achievement award for all your work and dedication in the community and in your causes. So I know you've stepped down as the Conservation Commission, I guess chairman or chairwoman and or president. But I just want to personally thank you for your involvement, not just with the commission, but just in general. So I figured
Well,
this
thank
is
you so much.
a good group to say that to.
Yeah, I do appreciate it. I was particularly pleased because it was the Order of the Palmetto Award by the governor. And you know, the thing about that is it isn't often that people who have especially put forth effort in conservation activities and environmental activities are really viewed for that. So I thought it was especially meaningful. And I appreciate all that everyone here has done to help that be a possibility. Thank you.
All right, great. All right, folks. Well, I'll wrap it up. Appreciate the participation. We'll got the minutes together. We'll put them out with the next agenda. I've got the next meeting scheduled for July 7th, same time. We'll make sure that that placeholder gets set up. It seemed to work pretty well, and then we just follow up with the Zoom information. Maybe by July we'll be in person again. The department will be moving back to its old spaces up in 2000 Hampton. Can't wait for that. And we'll be able to have our, hey, look at that. Thanks, Bryant. And we'll be able, how do you do that? That's pretty neat. And then we'll be able to maybe meet in person or maybe at least do something in council chambers if we still have the spread out type of requirement. But looking forward to meeting in person again and getting that true face-to-face human interaction that we've been missing for quite a long time here. So, all right, folks. Well, that's it. I'll sign off and everyone have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.